Oh shit. Almost forgot my microphone. Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Garrett Smith, the nutrition detective around these. Oh, I forgot my lights too. Hold on. Got to turn on my lights. No, I'll leave them off. Screw it. I'm not that worried about it. You shouldn't be here to, look at my pretty face too much. So I'll just handle it without the lights today. So what are we going to go over today? For those of you who saw the title of this video, we're going to go over the myth that taking vitamin K somehow magically protects you from all of the negative, what are called metastatic calcification problems that vitamin D supplements cause. And let us never forget that vitamin D supplements are used as rat poison. Cholecalciferol, the exact same D3 that your doctor is telling you to take, is used as rat poison, and it is used when the normal Coumadin/warfarin, when the mice or rats have adapted to that. So vitamin D3, cholecalciferol, is used as the second level poison on mice and rats. And they tell you to don't let your dog eat it. Don't touch it with your bare hands. Sounds super healthy to me. So yeah, just, you can keep taking it. I'll be here later to fix the damage. Been fixing it for years. So anyway, and then we also have a testimonial from a woman who's in my program who has had multiple children over the years. And this was her pregnancy that was by far the pregnancy and delivery that was by far the easiest and best one for her yet, which is typical of people who are working with me. Pregnancy and delivery gets easier the longer they work with me. And if you haven't seen my videos on what we're talking about right now about vitamin D being poison, vitamin D supplements being absolute poison, don't take them. And then there's also the fertility videos, vitamin A's effects on vitamin A induces infertility. You can find that video on here. You can go and see how birth control raises vitamin A and copper in the system, and thus birth control causes infertility. Anyway, so let's get into those things. Now, one thing I wanted to say at the very start of this is that as of July 1st, for those of you who have not joined we're at 1,196 people, the nearly 1,200 people who are in the Love Your Liver network, which is kind of like there's my program in there, and there's also kind of a mini social network where people can bounce questions and theories and ideas off each other, and I'm there to comment on occasion. I'm kind of guiding the whole thing, but yeah, I comment where necessary, and that price is going up. Right now, currently, for those of you who are in the network, you're grandfathered, you're good. Right now, it's one price for a lifetime membership. Currently. And those of you who got in because you're a client of mine, a testing and consultation client of mine, you're in, you're good. July 1st, the price is going up, and it's going from the normal price is $59 right now for a lifetime membership. And if you haven't been in there, you have no idea of the value of this compared to the other crap products that you buy on the internet that are like a 30-page pamphlet. Okay. I think there was something like 23 videos of mine in there. And my videos, as you know, usually run about an hour and a half, if not 2 hours. And then there's 12 sections of articles, I think. I don't remember these exact numbers, but it's huge. It's huge. 12 sections of multi-articles. I don't under-deliver. Those of you who have been coming to this live stream obviously know that I don't ever under-deliver. So anyway, price is going up to basically $99 July 1st, and it's going to a yearly membership instead of lifetime. So if you're already in it, you're good. If you're not in it yet, you probably want to get in before July 1st. And if you become a testing and consultation package person where you're working directly with me, doing the blood and hair testing and the consultation and the 6 months of support with a package, you automatically get lifetime membership to the Love Your Liver program. Bob Dylan just made a comment. He's just in the Love Your Liver network to meet cute girls. Well, that is at least, geez, at least you guys would be on the same dietary approach. That would make things a lot easier. Boy, because, it is really, everybody's getting misled with the dietary stuff. So if you can at least have the diet in line so that you guys are eating the same thing, that would be huge, right? So let's get into this vitamin K and vitamin D thing. Now, the link is already down in the main comment area, but I'm going to put this study right here in the chat now. I'm going to read you this quote from the results. Okay. So what the idea? Let me go over the theory of this first. Hold on, let me blow my nose. Okay. The theory out there. People go, oh, well, vitamin K prevents calcification of the arteries. And then they say, well, so if you're going to take vitamin D, which if you mess up your vitamin D supplementation or you take too much, it could calcify you. So they're already telling you that vitamin D supplements are a poison that you have to protect yourself against. They just told you that vitamin D supplements are a poison that you have to protect yourself against. They say this is the way these people think. This is what they've been told mostly. You have to take vitamin K. You have to take vitamin K to protect yourself against vitamin D. They just told you that vitamin D is a poison that you have to protect yourself against, okay? So here's the paper. Vitamin K2 and D in patients with aortic valve calcification. A randomized, double-blinded clinical trial, okay? Vitamin K2 and D in patients with aortic valve calcification. A randomized, double-blinded clinical trial. Well, that sounds like a pretty good study that they're doing there. Now here, hold on. Let me just find a great study out there. That kind of goes along with what we're doing. I just thought of this. Here's a little paper. So, we're here talking about vitamin A and what it does to people. And there's this other little study. Increased dietary intake of vitamin A promotes aortic valve calcification in vivo. Increased dietary intake of vitamin A promotes aortic valve calcification in vivo. Vitamin A increases calcification of your arteries. Vitamin D increases calcification of your arteries. And there's the people out there hoping and praying that if they just take enough vitamin K that they're going to somehow protect themselves against this. I'm going to tell you from working with people and doing hair testing and watching calcium numbers change over time, vitamin K on a hair test does nothing for calcium in the hair over time. It does nothing. I gave up using it for trying to manipulate calcium on the hair test. And for those of you who are following people like, I don't know, a certain Wilson character or other of the semi-big names in the hair analysis world, most of them have not even ventured into vitamin K yet because the originators of hair analysis, Eck and Watts, have not updated their science. Well, because Eck is dead. He did promote taking vitamin A with his hair tests, his hair test approaches, and Watts has not been updating stuff since at least the early 2000s, if not the late 1990s, because I got a hair test back in the early 2000s. And I can tell you that the exact same hair tests are coming out today, and they're still using exactly the same supplements, and they haven't even touched vitamin K. Am I suggesting everybody needs to take vitamin K? No. I have 4 very specific questions that I cover with clients to find out if they're showing symptoms of vitamin K deficiency. And if they don't have them, I don't give it to them. So anyway, vitamin K and D2. So we've established now, we have research showing that vitamin A causes aortic valve calcification. So it's possible If we're talking about this study, vitamin K2 and D in patients with aortic valve calcification, that they already have vitamin A toxicity. Isn't that possible? I mean, and what I'm going to tell you is that vitamin A antagonizes vitamin D in the body. Oh, so maybe if they tested these people and they said, oh, you have low vitamin D, that could also be caused by vitamin A toxicity. And then, if you haven't seen my video on this channel, I've presented the evidence that vitamin A depletes vitamin K. Weird how all this is connecting, right? So you have these people who think that if they take vitamin K, it will somehow protect them and undo the damage that the vitamin D supplements, the rat poison that they're choosing to take, is causing them. Well, the answer is no. So here we go. This is a quote from the results section. The progression, so it still kept going forward. The progression in aortic and coronary artery calcification score was not significantly different between patients treated with MK7, the magic form of vitamin K, plus vitamin D, and patients receiving placebo. There was no difference in the rate of heart valve surgery, all-cause death, or cardiovascular events. Let me read that again. The progression in aortic and coronary artery calcification score was not significantly different between patients treated with MK7 plus vitamin D and patients receiving placebo. There was no difference in the rate of heart valve surgery, all-cause death, or cardiovascular events. Okay? Vitamin D supplements induce calcification. Vitamin A toxicity induces calcification. Both of them, if you look in the research and you look up hypervitaminosis A or hypervitaminosis D, or you use vitamin D toxicity, or you use vitamin A toxicity, and you're searching on PubMed, and you type in the word with any of those terms, hypercalcemia, high blood calcium. Use the technical term hypercalcemia. So if you type in hypervitaminosis D, hypercalcemia, or hypervitaminosis A, hypercalcemia, what you will find is that both of these fat-soluble alcohol poisons raise calcium in the blood. What does the body do when you raise calcium in the blood? The body must get the calcium out of the blood, because if it doesn't, it's an electrolyte and it will affect both your brain function and your heart function, and it could kill you. So your body must desperately get the calcium levels in your blood corrected. So one of the things it will do is it will shove it right into the blood vessels, because that's the closest place it can put it. It can put it into your joints. It can put it into all your soft tissues. It can put it, if you don't understand what x-rays, like when they go and find a cancer on an x-ray, what are x-rays really good at looking at? They're really good at looking at bone. So if a doctor sees something that looks funky on an x-ray, like why do they use mammograms? To look at fatty breast tissue for cancer. What do you think they're seeing in there when they're using an x-ray on breast tissue and they see white spots that look sort of like the same color as bone? They're seeing calcification. Okay? The vitamin K didn't protect them. Vitamin K, we normally fix. I want to let you know about vitamin K on my program. When I talk to people about taking vitamin K, because they have some of the 4 questions answered yes, I tell them at some point you won't need it. At some point you'll be able to get off of it. Why is that? The reason many people are not making enough vitamin K, well, there is the whole vitamin A depleting it thing, because the researchers in the study said vitamin A can be used to induce a simple vitamin K deficiency. They did this on rats. They just said vitamin A very simply induces a vitamin K deficiency. So we get people off the vitamin A, we fix their toxic bile, which then fixes their gut biome, and it is your gut biome that is supposed to make vitamin K. People look at the vitamin K food list and they're like, well, wait, logically they look at it and they go, well, how the hell were people ever supposed to get enough vitamin K if they don't eat this very little narrow list of foods? And then they go, natto, this weird fermented soybean gooey spiderwebby nastiness. Oh, that's super high in vitamin K2, MK7. What do they use to make that? Bacteria. They put bacteria on the soybeans, and the bacteria do their work and they make MK7. So here's pro tip. Your gut bacteria are supposed to make your vitamin K. If they're not making it, you have a gut bacteria problem. What if that's the whole basis of how vitamin A depletes vitamin K? Because vitamin A messes up your gut biome. It causes you to have toxic bile. It damages your liver and all this stuff. Are you seeing how all of this is connecting? This is what I'm good at doing, is connecting all these things. Now, I'm done with that. If you want to take vitamin K, I don't see vitamin K as being a big problem. Actually, if anyone wants to go and try to research this, have fun. Try to go and find evidence that we actually store vitamin K. I couldn't find it. I tried to find it. Everybody says fat soluble vitamins. We store them in the liver. And yes, I can find evidence of the alcohols, retinol, tocopherol, cholecalciferol, being stored in the liver. There's no ol at the end of vitamin K. It's different. I didn't look up vitamin K esters. You might look that up, but I couldn't find any evidence that we store vitamin K in the liver. I just couldn't find it. I'm open to finding it. I'm not saying it's not out there. I'm saying I couldn't find it in my exploration for that. And I'm pretty good at this stuff, but people can find other stuff that I don't. And people bring that up in the network all the time. It's really cool to have up to 1,200 people who go out and try to search the internet for stuff, and then they bring it there. So we have we have some amazing researchers in there, and they bring up stuff, and I'm like, wow, this is awesome. That's how I found this study. Somebody in the network brought up this study, and I went, that's what I've been saying, right? So on to the testimonial. So ladies and men who are, going to have babies with ladies, real ladies, these days. People with wombs, pay attention. And people who love people with wombs, okay? I'm entertaining myself today. So what we have seen in this program is, as women work with this, as their health gets better, their pregnancy and deliveries get better. What is common out there, as some of you ladies may have experienced who aren't working with this stuff yet, is that each pregnancy gets a bit worse. They may go a little faster. The delivery may be a little faster. That's pretty common. Just like anything, you get better at it, you get less anxious about it. But oftentimes the pregnancies themselves they turn into more suffering. You gain weight, every one of them. I mean, like gain weight that stays and doesn't go away. And then a common pattern to see is that each child is a bit sicker than the child before it. If you haven't seen this pattern, you haven't been paying attention, because it's everywhere all the time. That's the norm. The norm is, if you look around you, the norm is everybody's getting sicker. So let's read this testimonial. I'm not going to mention this person's name, but it is a legit post inside the network. You can find it there, but so here we go. Quote, "Since I mentioned my pregnancy numerous times, I should mention that her son, not my son, but her son, was born 2 weeks ago." She put a smiley face. "I want to share occasional postpartum updates that relate to the detox. First of all, I have a history, or she should say, I had a history of postpartum hemorrhage, but with this birth, my uterine tone and the amount of bleeding was completely normal. Another thing that's already apparent, I had COVID in January, and that triggered a visual disturbance that I think was rod cell dysfunction. It included night blindness. Vitamin A deficiency, right? With a question mark and a winky face, right? And then she tagged me. Let me just interject here. You need to watch my vitamin A deficiency doesn't exist video on this channel to show you that, first of all, vitamin A deficiency doesn't exist, and all of the symptoms that people think could be caused by vitamin A deficiency can easily be connected to zinc deficiency and taurine taurine deficiency. Okay, so anyway, so she was being sarcastic there. Here we go. She said, Garrett Smith said it would probably subside postpartum once the super high levels of cholestatic pregnancy hormones fell. Well, rod cells turn over every 10 days, and the visual disturbance gradually receded starting a couple days postpartum and was completely gone after 13 or 14 days. So it looks like cholestasis can screw up rod cells, and resolving the cholestasis lets them heal. I'll go over cholestasis real quick at the end of this. But anyway, continuing, I had almost none of the common aches and pains of pregnancy. My previous pregnancies were plagued with mobility limiting SI joint, sacroiliac joint dysfunction, plus pubis symphysis pain. Those were incredibly mild this time, probably due primarily to stronger connective tissue from detoxing, and weighing less only helped. I began this pregnancy in the low 160s and gained 40 pounds on my 5 foot and 9.5-inch frame. On average, I began other pregnancies almost 20 pounds heavier and gained over 60 pounds on top of that. I felt so good that I was still doing things like hauling mulch for homesteading projects, even at full term. End quote. Ladies, you want your pregnancy to be more like that? And if you don't know, one of the things that is very common in Accutane symptoms, Accutane side effects, isotretinoin, also known as 13-cis-retinoic acid, which is one of the things your body turns vitamin A you eat into. So one of the common, go type isotretinoin sacroiliitis, ILIITIS, sacro, SACROILIITS. Go type in isotretinoin sacroiliitis into PubMed. You will find case study after case study after case study of one of the active forms of vitamin A inducing sacroiliitis or sacroiliac joint dysfunction. How many of you go to your chiropractor or somebody like that every week or month and they're like, oh, your SI joint's out? We just had a woman go to her chiropractor and the chiropractor said, there's nothing to adjust on you. Everything's in place because chemically she's so much better. How much money would you save on chiropractic appointments if you didn't have that out all the time? So let's talk about this. Cholestasis, real quick. Cholestasis is what we are fixing. This is the evolution of actually fixing chronic disease. When you take things that damage your system, when you do things that damage your system that cause you what is called a liver injury, this could be medications. This is your entire history of your entire life. You could have been born with jaundice, which means you already had a liver injury. You were born with a liver injury. You could have had other liver disease from whatever causes. You could have been exposed to pesticides. You could have taken medications. You could have been given injections. You could have been doing a low protein diet, vegetarians, vegans. You could have been doing a high fat diet, ketos, carnivores, that stuff. You could have been doing a high fat diet would be the ketos and the carnivores. You could have been doing a high fructose diet. Oh, juicers, fruitarians, people just eating an ungodly amount of sugar at any point in your life. So this could be healthy dieters. It could be standard American diet people. I mean, think about that. Standard American diet, high fructose, high fat, low protein. It only takes one of those to induce a liver injury. Vitamin A excess will cause liver injury. This could be, eating liver. This could be doing a high carotenoid, yellow, orange, red, dark green fruits and vegetables diet. This could be ladies, especially putting retinoids on your face. This could be taking Accutane. This could be taking, doing tons of dairy, egg yolks, whatever. You could have gotten here all sorts of ways. This liver injury, really what we're going to talk about here is it causes you to leak bile, toxic bile. Toxic bile is the most toxic fluid in your entire body. It is, think of it as when the liver processes waste, toxic waste from your system, it puts it into the bile to go into your intestines so you can poop it out. That's the whole goal. You reabsorb somewhere normally around 95% of it in what's called the enterohepatic circulation. You poop out on average, a normal person poops out about 5% of it a day, and then you recycle it in this loop. Well, if it escapes the loop because your liver's leaking it out, the liver cells and the teeny little bile ducts in the liver leak it into the blood, or the big bile ducts leak it into the blood, or your leaky gut caused by toxic bile leaks it into the blood, you get toxic bile in your blood, and that is what causes all the problems. Do you know that it is now considered normal for women to show symptoms of what's called intrahepatic cholestasis of pregnancy? I've posted this study many times. I'm not going to take the time to go look it up right now. But I think it is the title of the study. Well, here, you know what? I can't help myself because I like to show evidence. Is normal, there it is. Is normal pregnancy cholestatic? Is normal pregnancy cholestatic? They actually asked this question. Normal. How sick are people these days? Is normal pregnancy leaking toxic bile into your blood? Are you kidding me? Something like, I think I saw a stat the other day, 80% of kids are being born with jaundice. They're yellow. What color's bile? If it hasn't matured in the gallbladder, it's yellow. When people vomit up bile, what color is it? It's yellow. As when you go through this program and you really start pushing out bile, what color can people's poop look like? It looks like yellow. It can sometimes burn a little bit. This toxic bile is nasty shit. Anyway, and what we're seeing now, as I'll go over in my labs, so I have my labs back, and I may do the video today. I haven't decided, but I might do the video today on my labs. Not only did I come back with a nearly 900 testosterone level, and I feel like it too, you get to see proof of concept. I have reduced the bile acids in my blood. Every single measure of bile acids. I think we measure 6 different measures of bile acids. Every single one of them came down. Proof of concept. We are fixing cholestasis. And we are seeing symptoms go down. Is normal pregnancy cholestatic? Not as much anymore because we're fixing it. So people can say I'm all theory, and then we come around and we're doing little studies of one because this is how science gets started. Science gets started on anecdotes. People who think anecdotes aren't science, they don't understand how science works because people observe things in the real world and they go, hey, let's design some studies around it. Well, I don't have the money to do studies and I don't have the interest to do studies because my gifts are not to be stuck in a lab. My gifts are to take what other smart people have done before me and other hardworking research scientists have done and turn it into something that can actually help people in the real world. That's what I do. So people who ever ask me, are you doing any research? No, I'm not doing research. That is not what God put me here to do. It'd be like a car designer versus a mechanic. Like the car designer designs the parts, and then it goes out in the real world, and then the mechanic's like, oh, we got to fix this now. We got to fix this now. We got to fix this now. I'm the mechanic. One of the lines I kind of used for myself was the liver mechanic, but I don't know how well that fits. But I'm out in the real world fixing all the broken crap. I'm not in the computer studio designing car parts. That's not what I do. So anyway, let's get to questions now. Anyway, ladies, if you'd like to suffer, if you want to get pregnant, if you're having trouble getting pregnant, contact me. Those who don't want to get pregnant, if you contact me, I'm going to tell you you're going to become dangerously fertile. So you better, if you haven't seen my testimonial from previous videos, you better use protection. Oh God, don't let that be the birth control pill, please. Oh my gosh. Don't ruin your health. Don't ruin your daughter's health by giving them that poison pill or the copper IUD. Oh my God. If you want to get pregnant, work with me. If you're working with me, you're going to get dangerously fertile. You better use some sort of protection. And then if you want an easier pregnancy and delivery and a healthier baby, I'm right here. This is what I do. So, on to the questions. Bob Dylan asks, what is the best way to facilitate the recycling of the bile acids back through the liver to keep the gallbladder flowing stone free? Like the medicines they use, ursodeoxycholic acid and chenodeoxycholic acid to achieve that. Would we also use taurine and glycine to help with that? This is not how I think. This is not how I do things. The stuff you're talking about, and I'm just letting you know that the framework of how I look at these things. Ursodeoxycholic acid is a secondary bile acid. It is poison. It is straight poison. I recently had, now we're getting up to about 9 months ago, a woman come to me who had stage 4 cirrhosis, and she was on UDCA, ursodeoxycholic acid, which is a relative of TUDCA, which is just UDCA with a taurine on it. And I told her, if we want to fix your liver, you got to get off that UDCA. She's like, oh, but my liver enzymes are going to go up. And I said, they might for a little while, and then they'll come down, and then your liver will be better. She got off of it. Her liver enzymes went up. She stayed the course. She trusted me. She went from a stage 4 cirrhosis to a stage 2 cirrhosis in 6 months. I have an article in the network about the research on UDCA showing it makes everything worse over time. Remember, modern medicine, anything modern medicine does for something that shows benefit short term ruins the exact same thing long term. So no, taking more bile acids, you do not take more bile acids for a bile acid leaking into the wrong places problem. That doesn't fix it. Even if you resolve some of the symptoms because you change the bile acid profile, just think of it as a recipe. Like you could have a recipe of, I'm just going to use the typical example that people understand. You could have flour, water, eggs, sugar, and salt. And you can change the ratios of those and what you do with them, and you end up with what seems like massively different recipes from the same ingredients. So when you change the bile acid profile or the recipe, you can get different symptoms. If you still have bile in the blood, you still got the same problem. Do you see what I mean? You can change the recipe. Let's like as an example, water, flour, eggs, sugar, salt. If you're eating too much of that, it doesn't really matter what recipe you're doing. You're probably going to get fat. You see? So I'm saying like long term, you got bile in the blood, you're going to get disease. You could tweak the recipe a little bit and things might look a little better for a while, but you're still going to get to the same place. Okay? Taurine and glycine. This is something that's a huge, this is just going to be a huge example of what people do out there. Is some people out there are like, glycine's the best thing ever. More glycine, 8 grams a day. Do your collagen and your gelatin and your glycine powder. And then other people out there, like especially the carnivores, are like, taurine is everything. And then you get in the real world as a practitioner who actually observes their clients and takes their feedback. And some people say, taurine's amazing. It helped me a lot very quickly. Okay. And then some people say, oh my God, I started taking taurine and I couldn't sleep and I was getting anxious and depressed and irritable. And oh my God, what is going on? Glycine, very similar thing. Glycine is very similar to GABA, a neurotransmitter. You start messing with your brain. This is one of my sayings. If you start messing with your brain, you're messing with your brain for better or worse. Who knows what's going to happen on the other side? And when you stop taking that thing, if you got positives, when you stop taking that thing, if you didn't fix the underlying problem, you didn't fix the damn thing. You took a little Band-Aid for a while. Was it the glycine, how it affected the bile acids, or the taurine, how it affected the bile acids? Probably, somewhat, maybe, yeah. So those two amino acids are completely a try it and see. That's it. I tell people, like, people are like, should I take taurine? And I'm like, I don't know, try it. If you're on a low red meat diet, you probably need some taurine. If you're on a low red meat diet, you probably need some zinc. There's no food out there that compares to red meats in terms of zinc and taurine. That's just the way it is. You want to be a vegan, you want to be a vegetarian. I mean, you can do that. That's fine. There may be some problems, but if your body needs zinc and taurine, or zinc and or taurine, one or the other, or both, and you don't get it from your diet, here's another saying of mine. Your physiology doesn't care what your philosophy is. I don't believe in putting oil in my car's engine. Well, that's going to end well. I don't believe that I should be eating animal proteins. Oh, but I've already made myself vitamin A toxic. Think about this. A pound of red meat in a day, assuming that soil levels of zinc growing the plant foods that we feed to the cows and whatever they're supplementing the cows with, which is probably garbage zinc sulfate. Anyway, if you eat a pound, so almost a half a kilo, right? A pound of red meat, you're getting 20 milligrams of zinc in a day, maybe. That's not much. It's more than the RDA, but when you have to fix decades worth of poisoning, you might need more than the RDA. Some people may never get enough zinc from even eating a pound of red meat a day. So if you're behind on some of these nutrients and you insist on doing a whole food diet because that's what Grant did, for those of you who don't know Grant Genereux, and I'm not bad-mouthing Grant in any way, Grant did something that worked for him. But if you assume that you're the same as that, good luck. I hope your bet is correct. If it's not, you may be flailing around for a long time and even give up on this because you chose poorly. Testing, not guessing, helps with that. So anyway, the taurine and glycine, try it and see. Taking extra bile acids, never. Maybe if somebody really needs some help with like what they call, it's funny, they say there's bile acid malabsorption as a cause of like steatorrhea, the fatty loose bowels that happen to people who get their gallbladder taken out. So they have bile acid malabsorption, but then when they take more bile acids, they digest their fats better, and then the loose bowels stop. Bile acid malabsorption? So wait, they're not absorbing it into the enterohepatic circulation, but if we add more bile acids to the loop, it somehow fixes it. Modern medicine knows nothing about the bile acid pathway. They don't care. And maybe it's because if we fix that, we might fix all chronic disease. But if somebody used something like that, it's the minimal effective dose. And also, if they started eating a less added fats diet, if you're eating higher fat foods than you tolerate, maybe the answer is to not eat those foods rather than to shove more bile into your system. And what causes gallbladder problems? High fat diets. And here I am saying, don't eat excessive added fats. It's weird. High fat diets cause liver injury. High fat diets cause gallbladder problems. And here I am saying, minimize your added fats. Now, for those of you who are a little slow on the uptake, I didn't say eat a no-fat or low-fat diet. I said minimize added fats. Take the time to realize that there's a huge difference there before you go and spew stuff on the internet that's not true. Somebody's still going to do it. Bob, I use mixed. Bob was asking MK4, MK7 is best for calcification. I actually use mixed vitamin K supplements with my people. I don't care that much. Everybody gets into the one guy tried to say that study wasn't right because they didn't use the right form of MK7. And I was like, come on, man. Everybody with their right form of this and right form of that. And if you don't have the magical cod liver oil, vitamin A to vitamin D ratio, and I'm like, so wait, so it's only cod? It's not other types of fish? And only the cod that live in this one area versus cod that live in another area? Or it's the way you process it that makes the magical ratio, and you have the same ratio, the exact same ratio every time? So there's no variation between fish, and it's for cod liver oil is a poison. Throw it in the garbage. There's your solution. But anyway, the people who say that there's this magic ratio, they're also the people who say that bioavailable copper is a legit thing, and that's not. So anyway, next question. Ilyas says, why do high fiber diets decrease androgen hormones? I'm going to need a reference on that one. That is why more black beans result in detox symptoms. It's not caused by a bigger bile dump. I don't understand your statement. I constantly tell people, if you're getting too much soluble fiber and you're having problems, we can theorize on what it is all day. Stop doing that. Doc, it hurts when I do this. It's coming. It's coming. Then don't do that. Don't double down and do more. It's very simple. And why do they reduce? Okay, so as I'm going to go over my labs, I'm doing. I don't honestly know if I could say I'm doing what I don't know the cutoff for a high fiber diet. But my testosterone was 900 naturally. I don't know what androgen hormones has to do. I mean, I know exactly what it has to do with a bigger bile dump, but I just don't understand the question. So I'm just going to move on. Deb says, any tips for those who have no gallbladder? Yeah, you got to be real careful with the fats in your diet. And you probably, if you're going to do things that soak up bile, you're going to need to do them in more of a pulsed manner through the day rather than bigger doses. Generally, with things that soak up bile, they're better done in small pulsed doses throughout the day, like hourly or every 2 hours, than giant meals, 2 or 3 times a day. And you have to realize that your road is going to be longer because the very evidence of your gallbladder having been a problem and being taken out is indicative of your liver having been sick for a very long time. What it basically means to me is that your bile was so toxic that the little storage bag that we hold bile in broke down. Like it was designed to hold bile, kind of like your stomach is designed to hold stomach acid. Your bile bag was broken by how toxic your bile was. So the first thing is to realize that the gallbladder is not the root cause of the problem. The bile that was put into it is the cause of the problem. And that bile is still coming out of your liver. But the problem with not having a gallbladder is it means that the bile tends to just kind of free flow. It's like a trickle. Think of it as like a trickle coming out of the sink. It's just a trickle instead of, like think about it. This is an example I've used before. If think about trying to wash dishes and you had a trickle of water and that was all you're going to get. You want to wash dishes. If you don't have a drain plug, trying to wash dishes with a trickle of water is going to be a real pain in the ass. But if you can plug the sink, create a holding area for the water to accumulate, then you can wash the dishes in a lot of water. And then you would release that water all at once. I hope you get the analogy here. When you don't have a gallbladder, you're trying to that bile is coming out more in a trickle instead of the way God designed it, which is coming out in boluses, groups of, chunks of bile at once rather than the trickle. So you're going to have to adapt to it and realize that once something's taken out of you, there's going to be adaptations. And it's probably going to be harder to fix because the factory parts aren't there. I don't have magical cures for when the body is missing parts. Nobody does. So, moving on. Forever Young says, bought the LYL program today. I have a question. Doc put me on prednisone after a horrible bout with the flu. Side effects include elevated liver enzymes, potassium depletion. Is it worth it to take? Role of corticosteroids in drug-induced liver injury. Prednisone would be a corticosteroid. The question with all of these medications is, well, they pretty much all cause some amount of liver injury. But in their fact of one of the ways they cause liver injury is they slow down the production of bile. And I have that research on, I think it was hydrocortisone in dogs, showing that hydrocortisone caused a decrease in the bile production and dumping or secretion of bile. So the flu and the coof, the big disease of the day, they are massive bile dumps. Prolonged, massive bile dumps. So they can give you meds, Ivor, hydroxy, prednisone, that slow or stop your production of bile for a while. So then you're not leaking toxic bile into your blood, which is the root cause of your symptoms in the first place. And by doing that, yes, they relieve your symptoms. Yes, they might save your life. Sure. There's all sorts of toxic drugs that can save your life in the moment. But if you're not in a life-saving necessary situation and you're taking meds just to make things feel a little better or go away a little sooner, long-term, you're going to pay a price for every single med you take. The people who are the worst off in the program are the people who have been medicated the most in their lives. And once in a while, it only takes one med to mess people up. My health journey, my downhill slide of health was probably started in my early teens from taking ketoconazole, which has been shown, as I posted, I think last week or the week before, to severely damage testosterone production in men. Only takes one, think about it. It only takes one bullet. All you got to do is hit the right area. Some people might take 13 bullets and not go down. Is one better than the other? No. It only takes, both of them are suffering. Both of them got hit. It all depends on your system and your context and all that stuff. Grant Genereux, for example, I think had very minimal shots in his life. Very minimal. He's do I recall, is he in his early 60s now? Or late 50s? I can't remember. But he's at least 10 years, maybe 15 years older than I am, which means that his shot schedule was way less than even mine. And then we're looking at 20-somethings these days who are getting 4 or 5 times as many as maybe I had. And then I think Grant has only taken one medication in his life. So he has nothing. And I think Canada, where he lives, is less toxic than the US in general. So he has way, way less context in terms of damaging his liver than we do. So basically, unnecessary medications are going to cause you more problems over time. Necessary meds, I'm not telling anybody to not take necessary medications. If I get hit by a bus, I want to go to the hospital. I want them to do whatever they can to save my life, even if it means I got to fix the liver injury later. But am I going to go and take medications that are unnecessary for just like the suffering of a flu? No, I'm not. I'm personally not. I don't know you're suffering, and I don't know what level it's at, so I can't comment on that. And this is not a place for me to tell people specifically this person, this medication. I'm not saying anything about do it or don't. That's not what this is for. This is definitely not a place so you hopefully you understand the concepts that I'm putting out here, because I'm not giving specific information to anyone here. So I hope did I post that link? Did I do that? Yes, there it is. I mean, just think about it. Look at long-term corticosteroid use. Causes the big fat face, the moon face. Stuff that shows up in your face. You ever looked at long-term alcoholics, how they start to get the really fat face and the really red face, and especially men get the big bulb nose? Your liver shows up in your face. Now, you can go and look back on my older videos on this channel. And yes, I did lose 30 pounds, but you can also see that I had kind of a fatter face. There is just the general overweight part that caused that, but my liver was in a lot worse. I don't want to say worse like it was terrible, but my liver was in a lot worse shape than it is now. And you can see it. Go look at pictures of people. There's this one website where they have pictures of people when they were drinking and pictures of them after they stopped drinking. And the biggest change you can see is like the inflammation in their face. Well, what do corticosteroids cause? Moon face, the swollen, puffy face. Are they affecting the liver? Just like, similar to alcohol, liver injury? Yes. How would the liver affect the face? Bile, toxic bile leaking into the blood. That's exactly how it affects everything. Okay. Let's see. Oh, there's Taryn. Taryn, my lovely daughter, says hi, Dad. Hi, sweetie pie. So Hive says, I did not realize black beans had so much molybdenum. You may be looking at old research, because I can tell you that beans these days have hardly any molybdenum at all in them. I used to be able, let me tell you, from tracking hair analysis years ago, I could tell people that if they ate 1 cup of beans a day, they would get their molybdenum. For those people who wanted to do all this with food alone, let me tell you, we got lots of people who are eating 1 cup or more of beans a day because they do well on them, and it's not keeping their molybdenum up at all. I used to have people eat 3 to 5 Brazil nuts a day, and that would keep their selenium levels up. That doesn't work anymore. I have people come to me, they're eating like 1.5 pounds of beef a day, and they think they're good on zinc. And I'm like, no, not in your blood, nor on your hair test. The soil is going to shit. You got farmers out there, so the fertilizer problem, right? So if the fertilizer's a problem, do you think they're going and adding extra minerals to the soil these days? Does adding minerals to the soil change anything about the appearance of the food that they grow? If it does, the appearance or the taste, something that sells it for more money, does it change anything about that? No. So are the farmers going to do it when they're struggling to survive? No, they're not going to do that. It's not how this whole thing works, especially when the farmers are getting squeezed from every angle on purpose as part of the plan. If you don't realize there's a plan being executed, especially in this country right now, you missed the boat. The only thing that could have made this country's problems arise so quickly is a well-instituted plan. So, if you're looking at old stats on minerals in food, I'm sorry, based on hair testing and me watching these things, and I have a little bit of pattern recognition going on, it's not in the food anymore. Nothing like that. I mean, there's some, but nothing like the stats on the internet. So, Wolfman says, what do you think is the best approach to deal with Gilbert syndrome? Fix the liver. Doctors say it's harmless apart from the jaundice and high bilirubins. There's no health issues. It's evidence of a liver problem. Bilirubin, bile in the blood, is what causes the yellow to appear. Weird that yellow is the same color as vitamin A and bile. And yeah, am I going to say it's harmless? No, I would say it, like by itself in the early phases, you might not see a lot of diseases connected to it. But what's it probably, like if you see a little leak in a pipe, is that leak going to like fix itself over time, or is it going to probably slowly get worse over time? Probably, if you don't fix the root cause of it, the hole in the pipe, it's going to get worse over time because the water kind of destroys the pipe. Isn't that how it started in the first place? Kind of like toxic bile is what eats through your liver, your bile ducts, your leaky gut. Think of toxic bile like hot lava. If you aren't constantly repairing the bile pathway to keep the toxic bile in place, the toxic bile will eat holes in it. That's how toxic your bile is. You make it even more toxic by taking medications, getting shots, eating crazy, stupid, fad diets like we all have done, taking high-dose supplements that are actually damaging. They may feel good at the start, but they damage things. You're eating strongly colored foods, strongly bitter foods, strongly smelling foods, all those wonderful things that nature gave us in those foods to tell us, don't eat this. Here's a marker. Here's your sign. Here's your sign. It's bitter, or it's strongly colored, or it has a strong smell. Those are markers of chemicals in it that God, nature, however you choose to think about it, is telling you, don't eat this. Let me just give you a couple of examples of foods that are like okay on this program. If you have a piece of uncooked meat on the counter, you got a steak sitting on the counter, and you're 5 feet away from it, can you smell it? If it's like a fresh piece of meat, you're not really smelling it, right? There's not much smell to it. If you got dry beans or even cooked beans, do they smell a lot? Like, would they be considered aromatic? No. A peeled apple, even. You peel an apple. Do you smell a lot of apple around? Like, is it a strong smell? I'm not saying can you smell anything. I'm saying, is it a strong smell? No. Contrast that with, I don't know, garlic, onions as a smell. And then you get into the colors of eat the rainbow. Hey, everybody, to get all the nutrients you need, the phytonutrients you need to eat the rainbow. Yellow, orange, red, dark greens. And then you get into the weird ones like eggplant, bright berries. And then you get into the bitters. Herbal bitters. Oh, stay away from those. But then you get into, what is everybody's favorite these days? Let's talk about like the kind of the funny like mom life movement of, let's start the day with a bitter thing called coffee. Let's eat bitter chocolate through the day. Let's end our day with wine, the poison called alcohol. And what do they do with the coffee and the chocolate so that it's edible? They add sugar to it because sugar covers up the bitter taste. Your body is trying to tell you, why do you not like eating 100% dark cocoa or black coffee? Because it tastes like bitter ass. Because your instinct is to not eat it. Why would let's say why is your first drink of alcohol ever, why does it taste nasty? Because your instinct tells you it's bad for you. What can you do? You can keep drinking it, and your body starts saying, well, if you're going to keep putting this poison shit in me, I guess I'll just get used to it and I'll adapt to it and I'll convince myself that I like it. That's how it works. So avoid the poisons that nature gives you the sign of. Why does liver taste like ass? Why is it the hardest thing for all the health gurus to get anybody to eat? Because it's full of poison and your body's telling you. Don't do that. Okay. Question, Simon. Lactoferrin with each fibrous meal, 4 times 100 milligrams in total, fixed my gas/flatulence /bloating /pale stool /indigestion problems. Wow. Well, here, wait. Let me get. Here. Do you know what the best lactoferrin on the market is? And no, he did not. I did not ask him to post this. I do believe we have the cleanest and best quality lactoferrin on the market. I just put the link to the store in the comments. Love your liver members. Get better prices. So remember, not only is the price going up at the end of the month and going to a yearly rate, but you get a discount on the best lactoferrin in the market, also Keystone Minerals, and also any other products that we may be coming out with soon in the future. So anyway, the question here is, it seems like bile secretion in the gut is necessary for proper digestion. Okay. What does lactoferrin do in the research? It increases bile production and excretion. It increases the speed of ADH, alcohol dehydrogenase, and ALDH, aldehyde dehydrogenase. These are 2 key enzymes in the processing of alcohols and aldehydes, which includes retinol, retinaldehyde, alcohol, ethanol, acetaldehyde, methanol, and what it turns into, formaldehyde, and all the other alcohols and aldehydes. Do you know that vanillin is an aldehyde? Did you know that cinnamon is like 95% cinnamaldehyde? Oh, wait. Do those have a strong smell? Oh, interesting. Bile, here's the thing about bile secretion and whatever people want to think about it being necessary for proper digestion. Here's the deal. We are designed to make bile. In a healthy person, the bile contains their toxic waste. You make aldehydes, alcohols, aldehydes, you make toxic stuff just being alive. Okay? Just by being alive, just like in your house, you make garbage. We all make waste all day long. It goes to your liver filters it out, stores some of it if it has to, if it can't get rid of it fast enough. If it can't get rid of it fast enough, so remember, the liver is a filter. By definition, a filter pulls stuff out of something else. This is not hard. Anybody who says the liver isn't a filter, you should stop listening to right away because they don't even understand what the function of a filter is. Next, it's a sewage treatment plant. It takes things and it turns them into other things. Intoxication, you may want to look that up. That's actually where, when the liver biotransformation is another term, it turns things into more toxic things as they go through the process. That's pretty scary. So it does this sewage treatment plant, and then there's the storage function. The liver will store, if you are taking in more toxins of a certain type that the liver can store, if you're taking in more of them than you're able to get rid of fast enough, your liver will store them. Okay? So your liver makes this bile. Lactoferrin. Oh, also the last thing lactoferrin does is lactoferrin has been shown to improve the rate of turnover of the cholangiocytes, which are the bile duct cells. Which in effect, in my impression of reading that and in seeing how lactoferrin helps with people, lactoferrin helps repair the leakiness of the bile pathway, whether that is in the liver cells themselves, whether that is in the tiny bile ducts inside the liver, whether that is in the big bile ducts, or whether that is in leaky gut, where I have research on lactoferrin helping to reduce leaky gut, as well as helping to correct the gut biome. Weird how all these things are the things that the alternative people obsess over, and I'm going, it's all connected to the same thing. And I have research, and I've presented it here and elsewhere on the internet, my old research forum. I have my link tree here. I'll type my link tree down here for those of you who want to go and look at my other links. Let me make sure I'm spelling it right. It would be a shame to not spell it right. Yes. The link tree has my old research forum on it. It has a link to the Love Your Liver program. It has a link to the YouTube channel and all my social media. So if you want to find stuff from me and search through it all and look and see if I've talked about things, the research forum is probably one of the best places to go. I'm going to be turning those articles, as I get more time, into blogs on my upcoming new website. So it'll still be the same domain. It'll just be redesigned. So back to the question. If you make the bile, which we're supposed to make bile, I'm not denying that. You make the bile and it stays in the pathway and it goes into your bile ducts and it goes into your gut, and then some of it's pooped out and some of it is recycled, the enterohepatic circulation, to the liver. The liver filters it out, makes it into bile again, and then goes through the loop. So if it stays in the loop, everything's fine. So let's say with lactoferrin also helps increase bifido. You know that when you're born, you have the highest bifido population in your gut delivered. You have the highest bifido population in your gut that your entire life. And as we get older, maybe it's because high-fat diets have been shown to utterly decimate bifido populations in the gut. Our bifido population over our life slowly goes down. Lactoferrin has been shown to greatly increase bifido in the gut. Start fixing the gut biome. That would help digestion, would it not? The lactoferrin is sealing up the bile pathway, so the bile you make stays where it's supposed to go, so it doesn't leak into the blood as much. And if the bile is supposed to help with digestion, it's where it's supposed to be. And then we increase the ADH and the ALDH, which then helps our whole detox system. And then we're making more bile and releasing more bile so that we can then not only probably poop better, but we're getting rid of more toxins at a higher rate. Now, those of you who just heard me say all that like a commercial, and you're going out and I'm going to go take lactoferrin as much as I can afford, you're going to wreck yourself. On the label of the Nutrition Detect lactoferrin is a link to a very important, here, I'll go find that. Here, I'll put it in the comments right here. I have a huge article. It's linked on the label of the lactoferrin. This is a different link than the store page for the lactoferrin. This is an information page about how to start lactoferrin and how not to mess yourself up. Strong medicines have strong effects, for better or worse. If you're super toxic and you are super leaking bile, and you start trying to go, and maybe in your history you've pushed things a little too hard and messed yourself up, you're going to do that again. Everybody pushes too hard at some point in this. So the sicker you are, the more likely you are to mess this up. And if you come back saying lactoferrin's terrible, it made me feel awful, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to say, did you read the label? Did you start the way I suggested? And I warned you, if you cause problems, you went too fast and you should back the hell up. Everybody on the program is constantly hearing me say, you're not feeling good? Back up. Do less. Stop what you're doing. Your body's giving you signs that you're pushing too hard, too fast. What other doctor says this about their, you have a doctor making supplements and somebody comes on their forum or on a review and they're like, this supplement messed me up. And the people will be like, no, it couldn't possibly be the supplement. It's probably this. Or it's making you have detox symptoms. Okay. Here's what you hear from me, even about my own supplements. If you don't feel good, take less. Maybe it's not for you. Maybe it's too fast for you yet. You've gone up too much. Maybe it's the wrong time for you. Maybe not yet. There may be all sorts of reasons. You can't even get a zinc drop that's 1 milligram. I had a client who was doing amazing on 1 milligram of zinc a day. Supplements typically come in 15 milligrams or 30 milligrams or even 50 milligrams. Even the zinc drops that are out there are 1.8 milligrams per drop. And this woman found that she did amazing on 1 milligram a day. You can't even find a drop that gives that small a dose. But she experimented with an actual zinc pill and divided it up. And she found that she felt much, much, much better on 1 milligram a day. She didn't feel good on 2. 2 was too much. But 1 was just right. And over time, she was able to go up to 2. And her symptoms have been improving. And she's a post-Accutane survivor. For those of you out there, the Accutane folks who seem to doubt what I'm doing, it's fine. You can keep flailing around trying to find something that's going to fix you. Is like one of the most injurious medications to your liver ever. Accutane people take the longest to fix. I'm sorry. It is the way it is. I didn't make it that way. And every bit of vitamin A that you eat, some of it that is absorbed, as one guy was trying to argue, well, they're like, you don't absorb all the vitamin A you eat, so your body doesn't turn all the vitamin A you eat into Accutane. Oh, they're like, if you're out there and you try to watch my videos or whatever on my social media posts and you try to just poke little tiny stupid holes in what I say, especially when I'm doing like a live video, don't expect to stick around here. You're not going to get to stay. You want to do the normal YouTube poking little bullshit holes in things and be like a troll and whatever. I don't tolerate it at all. Maybe it's my high testosterone now. I don't know, but I don't tolerate it. Do it somewhere else. Anyway, but the lactoferrin, when you get the right dose of lactoferrin and you don't go too fast, it's amazing. Some people are still so messed up, they can't go because if they think about this. Your liver's making bile. It's making X amount of bile, which means that if you make X amount of bile, you're going to have X amount of bile leaking into your blood if you have some amount of cholestasis. Okay? If you start doubling your bile production, 2x, now you have 2x of bile in your blood because the amount of leakage didn't change. If you have a dripping pipe at a certain pressure and you double the pressure in that pipe, you're probably going to have about double the leak. Now, I'm not a plumber. That may be, it may not work that way, but you understand? More pressure in the system is going to leak more. More bile being produced, you could leak more. So lactoferrin has been shown to increase bile production and excretion. You take too much lactoferrin when you're leaking bile significantly, you can make yourself feel bad because you just increase the amount of bile in your blood. When people start understanding these mechanisms of how this works, how it's a system. It's a piping system that's trying to hold in toxic lava, basically. And if you have so much lava coming out that you're leaking even more and maybe even causing more damage for a short period of time, because it's the toxic bile that caused the leakiness in the first place, you can mess yourself up. Some of you may know what saying I'm about to say right now. This is not a game. This is not a game. We are dealing with decades worth of toxic stuff in your liver. And if you try to go cowboy and go rogue and think, I'll just suffer for a while, I'll be out of it soon. Come back here when you've had your ass handed to you, because people in the program know this. You are not as tough as the toxic garbage in your liver if it comes out too fast. You are not that tough. And there's no reason for you to suffer. If you're putting extra toxic bile in your blood, you're not detoxing it. You're not getting rid of any more of it. You're just suffering because you're putting too much toxic bile in your blood. The toxic bile that leaves you should not be causing you any symptoms because you just poop it out. A little bit goes out your kidneys. Okay. You shouldn't be having too much coming out of your skin because your liver should be taking care of it, and your kidneys should be mopping up any of the excess. If you have skin problems, it means you've already overpowered your liver and your kidney's ability to get rid of stuff. And now it's coming out of your skin. And it's irritating your skin on the way out. So if you've already got skin problems, your liver and your kidneys are already overloaded. So if you push things too hard, you're already in an overloaded state. Expect it to get worse. Hear me now and believe me later. For those of you who know Hans and Franz. Gonna have to get going here real soon. So Wolfman said, glycine makes me feel brain dead, even magnesium bisglycinate. But all the people out on the internet said you need more glycine than methionine, and glycine's wonderful. And I go and talk to the people who try glycine, and it just ruins them. Anybody who says that one thing is like the fix for the one dose of everything, like you need 8 grams of glycine a day. No, they're wrong. People be like, but you say everybody probably needs extra zinc. Yeah. Did I just tell you about the woman who only took 1 milligram? Do I have the people who say I don't want to take any supplements? And then I'm like, well, you better eat some more red meat then. I mean, does it have to be a pill? No. Are people maybe never going to get what they need if they decide to limit themselves to food? If you limit the tools that are available to you, you limit potentially the things you're able to fix. Okay, last question. Carrie says, I'm starting to supplement, but had a question already. Recently moved into rental home with water softener with potassium chloride. Does that give you any potassium? Has an osmosis or reverse osmosis, I assume you mean. Under cabinet water filter. Okay. We do absorb minerals through our skin. Absolutely. We have the new Mag-Ca-Hol, Ka, Mag-Ca-Hol, because I add potassium to it, recipe in the Love Your Liver Network. This stuff is amazing. Amazing. Fixes nearly all the problems with the old magnesium oil sprays and the original Mag-Ca-Hol recipe, which it works amazing, but it doesn't feel very good on your skin. So I made a new recipe, and it basically almost solves all of the problems from before, because that's what I do. I find solutions. Anyway, potassium chloride is very well absorbed through the skin. People have been putting it in their baths now, their magnesium baths. I've been putting it in a spray on the skin, and other people have been doing it and really liking it too. And you can mix it with the magnesium. But again, the recipe's in the network. Are you going to absorb some potassium through your skin? Yes, absolutely. Like when you shower. Yes. Is it going to show up high on your hair test? Because you're putting potassium in your hair, and every time you dry your hair is still wet, right? You dry it, but it's still damp. That water that's left there eventually is going to evaporate, and it's going to leave the minerals, because that's what distilling leaves everything except the water, basically, for the most part. So you're going to leave the minerals there. They're going to form a mineral scale, a mineral deposit in your hair, and over you do that, and we're going to see it on a hair test. I once had a guy, his hair test, he came in first. He was putting sodium chloride in his water softener, salt, which is normal. And his sodium was elevated on his hair test. Over the next 6 months, he switched to potassium chloride, And on his next hair test, his sodium had crashed way back down to where it was supposed to have been. And then his potassium went up because he changed what was in his water softener. So in the shower, it's going to show up on a hair test. Are you probably absorbing some of that potassium from the water? Yeah, absolutely. Then the water that you're drinking out of the reverse osmosis filter will not have extra potassium in it. So that's basically, there won't be extra potassium in the water once it goes through the reverse osmosis. There will be extra potassium in your shower water, and it will show up on a hair test. One of the biggest mistakes that hair analysis people out there make, other than not running bloods to look at zinc and copper also, is that they don't investigate contamination of the hair samples well enough. When anything looks weird on a hair test, or high, especially high, you should be looking into contamination sources, talking to the client about sources of contamination in the hair sample. You got to know them all. Considering I care a lot about this, I've figured out a lot of them. A lot more than I was ever taught in any hair analysis course I took. So, Taryn, my lovely daughter, testing, not guessing, then addressing. Yes, thank you, sweetie. That is the whole goal, right? So for those of you who are out there trying to do this, so just so you know, I'm going to wrap this up here. The Love Your Liver program at members.nutritiondetective.com. That's the direct link to it. That's the network. That is the Love Your Liver program. That is the do-it-yourself thing. That's what I'm talking about. The membership is going up in price. Okay. That's the Love Your Liver program. That's totally do-it-yourself. Like, you go into that program, do not expect to have access to me. I answer things around the network as I choose to and as I need to. And I keep a fairly iron fist approach on people who try to hijack the direction of the network. Don't do that. And then if you want to work with me, there's the testing and consultation packages. You can find those in the store. That's where we're doing in the package. There's the hair test for sure, because we can do hair tests on anybody around the world. As long as you can get mail, as long as you can receive mail and send mail, we can do a hair test on you. Blood tests, if you're outside of the US, I can't order blood tests for you. And if you're in certain states in the US that don't, I think it's 5 states or something that don't allow me to order blood tests for you there, you're going to have to go to another state. Anyway, we order the blood tests, we order the hair tests. You get a consultation with me. There's different options of different prices. You can do a small group. You can do an individual one. I had to start doing small groups because I can't handle the people who are coming in. We're booked like 2.5 months out right now. So for those of you who want to work with me, you better do it soon. I am training somebody to help me with the client load. But yeah, we're booked out 2.5 months right now. So if you think you can just walk in a week, I mean, the tests themselves are taking about 3 weeks to get back. So the minimum would be absolutely 3 weeks, but really we're booking out like 2.5 months. So if you work with me doing the testing and consultation packages, the testing, not guessing, then addressing, you get the Love Your Liver membership lifetime with that. That's included because I need for you to know what to do. That's the do-it-yourself part. I do the testing and I tell you what I think you should do. And then in those packages, you get 6 months access to the office hours, which is my twice a week small group Zoom follow-up sessions. So if you're having problems on the program, you need troubleshooting, maybe you push too hard and you just need me to tell you, stop it, chill out, back the heck up. Everybody needs that sometimes. Geez, everybody needs coaching. Everybody. If you can find somebody who's better and wiser than you in something, and you want to get good at that, you can accelerate your learning so fast. And if it's just somebody coming in going, I had this come up and this come up and this come up, and I don't know what's going on, and I changed, and then I go, what'd you change in the last week? And they go, well, I took less of this, I took more of this, I did this, and then I'm like, okay, let's rewind this. Let's put that back, put that back, put that back, put that back, put that back. And then things often go back to normal. But sometimes they just got to hear it because we're all new to this. But I'm always telling people, we're trying to be as scientific as possible in this approach. And I'll tell people, you only change one thing at a time. I have an hour and a half, 2-hour video on how to add and remove foods and supplements from your program. So you don't get stuck all confused wondering what the heck just happened. Because this is not a game. So that's all I got for today. I got to go do my inner circle. So inside the network, we also have the inner circle, which is where people get to ask me questions. There is an extra fee for it, but they get to ask me questions. I'm about to go and do an hour and a half session there and answer questions that I cannot answer fully here due to certain reasons. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So I can talk about more controversial topics there, but that you got to join the network before you can get into the inner circle or the advanced detox program. Those are all inside the network. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. And I'll see you next week. Bye now.